Located in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley sits the city of Allentown. This former steel town is the home of one of America's top gymnastics clubs. The Parkette's Training Center is where our show begins today. Welcome to another edition of Gymnastics USA. I'm Shannon Miller. The Parkette Invitational has always attracted some of the top athletes from across the country, and today's competition is no exception. The United States Junior International team is well represented here today with gymnasts like Morgan Evans, who finished 6th all-around at the 2005 U.S. Championships. Parkette's Amber Trainey is in her first season on the U.S. Junior National team. She finished 2nd on the vault at the 2005 National Championships. Also on today's program, we'll talk about Parkette's co-founder, Donna Strauss, about why her gym attracts the country's top gymnasts. I'll talk about how to stay on the balance beam in our Essential Gymnastics segment. And finally, we'll take you inside this year's first world-class international event, the American Cup, where the world's best gymnasts from 11 countries meet in Philadelphia. The first rotation is about to begin, so let's start our show with the Parkette Invitational.
From Allentown, PA, for more than 40 years, the Parkettes have been welcoming America's up-and-coming young gymnasts to get a start on their careers. Hello, everyone. I'm Lou Tilley, along with Shannon Miller, once again back in Allentown for another Parkette's Invitational. But they've been doing this for more than 30 years now. In the age 15 through 16 division, here's some of the best competitors here at the meet. This is Randy Stageberg. She's out of Chesapeake, Virginia, and the very strong Excalibur Gymnastics Club, coached by Jim and Dana Walker.
Starting her first event, huge Hindorf, very nice release move. We're going to be watching for execution deductions. Right there, you can see a little flicker of those knees and feet. And of course, these athletes that are competing here today, they really just want to get noticed. They want to be seen by the judges and by the audience and get some experience. Half-turn double front dismount, very nice landing. Good way to start.
She'll be 16 in November, has had some international competition. What did you think about this performance?
This was a pretty solid performance. Obviously, she needs to work on some execution, but that's just going to come with time and repetition. The one thing that concerns me the most was on her dismount. You can see that her grip kind of came undone, but she stayed composed and kept going.
Randy Stageberg scores 9.4, according to the judges. Our first look at Amber Trainey. Now she's the local girl competing for the Parkettes from just outside of the Philadelphia area. Lansdale, PA is her home.
Amber's a terrific vaulter right here. One of the most difficult vaults, a Yurchenko double twist. Great landing. This is the type of vault that you have seen at the Olympic Games. Gets a good block off the horse, maybe a little low in the landing, but very solid.
At this age group, we get 2 runs down on the vault. Here's her second attempt.
Second run, Yurchenko double twist, same vault, a little worse on the landing, actually. I think they'll take her first score.
Amber scores a 9.5 in her first rotation on the vault. Our first look now at Morgan Evans, one of the young stars. Another from the Excalibur Club out of Norfolk, Virginia. We've seen her a couple of times, most recently at the U.S. Classic in Virginia Beach.
Morgan, a great uneven bar worker. Look at the height on that Shpashnikova. Comes right back with an overshoot. Keeping pretty good form throughout the routine. And you can see she's such a tall gymnast, so she needs to make sure she stays very tight because her execution is going to be seen very clearly. Right here, another release move. This routine is just packed with difficulty. Nice lines throughout. Double front dismount. Small hop on the landing, but very good routine.
2-year member now of the junior national team, Morgan Evans.
Terrific routine. Way to start the competition.
And the judges saw it as Shannon did, a 9.525 in her first rotation on the uneven parallel bars. Next up in our competition, from a different age group now, from the 14-year-olds, Noelle Couch. This on the vault.
Starting off on vault, Yurchenko, another Yurchenko double twist. Pretty solid on the landing. You could see one foot was a little behind the other when she landed that vault. That's going to obviously be a small deduction. And you want to watch the legs in the air. They got a little bit twisted up. Another small deduction.
A year ago here at the Parkettes, Noel finished 6th all around in her age division and 3rd in this apparatus, the vault.
Looking to clean up the execution on this vault. Second time, Yurchenko double full, just a little short on landing. She didn't get the block off the horse at vertical to get the height that she needed to get all the way rotated around.
But the judges liked her first attempt at 9.625. When we come back, one of the co-founders of the Parkette's Gymnastics Club, Donna Strauss, as we continue. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
When I chaired the fundraising committee at our school, it was clear that Joe Corby's fundraiser was the only real choice. They made the whole process easy, from the first phone call to delivery. Thanks to Joe Corby's, we had a successful fundraising campaign.
Very successful.
Everybody loves pizza.
And it's a great activity for the whole family.
Joe Corby's. We make the dough, you make the money.
America's most beloved figure skater is on CNA. CNA presents Nancy Kerrigan's World of Skating. From Holiday on Ice in Las Vegas to the World Junior Championships in Europe, Nancy Kerrigan presents a weekly series of skating's top stars and up-and-coming hopefuls. Nancy Kerrigan's World of Skating. This Sunday, Super Women on Ice. Spectacular performances from Peggy Fleming, Dorothy Hamlet, Michelle Kwan, and Nancy Kerrigan herself. Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on CN8.
Monday on Sports Pulse with Ed Berliner. We preview the Boston Marathon with a New England legend. We go one-on-one with former marathon winner Bill Rogers. Sports Pulse, Monday, 10 Eastern on CN8, the Comcast Network. CN8 is redesigning and rebuilding television. American Builder with Brian Gurry. If you want home improvement built with attitude.
Not that happy.
American Builder with New England's own Brian Gurry. Weeknights, 8:30 Eastern on CN8.
Welcome back to Gymnastics USA at the Parkette Invitational in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Bill and Donna Strauss founded Parkettes in the early 1960s. From its modest beginnings 40 years ago, the Parkette Gymnastics program has grown into one of the nation's most well-respected gym clubs. Here's why. A lot has changed in 40 years of the Parkette's program, but then again, much has stayed the same.
One thing that is still our standard that was 40 years ago was to be able to provide an environment that each youngster could become the best they possibly could be. Those standards have greatly risen right now, but even there, we cared about each child and we wanted them to be able to meet their goals and be able to accomplish everything that they were capable of doing.
When the Strausses started the Parkette program some 4 decades ago, they couldn't have predicted their success. There's a long history of Parkette successes on the national and international gymnastics scene. That, coupled with their facilities and approach to teaching gymnastics, help attract some of the best young talent in the sport.
A lot of gymnasts come to train here at younger ages because we have a good reputation of doing gymnastics. There's not a whole lot of fun and games and arts and crafts, but if you want good gymnastics and a lot of gymnastics, our summer camp program is very strong. And also we have a Parkette Invitational competition that is just an outstanding competition.
With outstanding competition usually comes superb results. Through the years, Parkettes have generated over 100 college scholarships and has helped their share of rising stars.
There's a lot. Most recently is Tia Orlando, and she's now a freshman at Arizona State University. She was a Pan American gold medalist on floor exercise. All of our gymnasts, all of our top-level gymnasts end up going to college. We have over 100 girls that have gotten a scholarship to college throughout the country, and I'm talking about very top universities.
But for some 40 years now, Parkette's has been more than just a training ground for top-level gymnasts. It's been a training ground for life.
youngsters leave here, they've got a high standard of ethics, and they're people that are going to make a difference in this world. And also that they feel good about themselves leaving here, no matter if they make the Olympic team or they don't make the Olympic team. They believe in themselves, they have a positive outlook, and they're proud of all of the accomplishments that they make.
The Strausses estimate that over 100,000 people have participated in Parkette's events over the years here, and hundreds are on hand this weekend for another Parkette's Invitational. Now, round two, or rotation two in our event, and Randy Stageberg about to take her try on the balance beam.
Balance beam, always one of the most difficult events for an athlete.
What kind of upper body strength does that take, Shannon?
Well, it's incredible, and it's nice to see some of the athletes performing these planche moves that have to be held for 2 seconds. It shows strength, and it shows beautiful artistry.
Really, the upper body strength is often overlooked, I think.
Right here, back handspring, full twisting somersault. And I know she's going to get 5/10 deduction for the fall, but it's great that she's trying these difficult skills at this point in her career.
Right, why not, right? Try the aggressive, big-time moves now.
Absolutely. You have to throw these skills if you're going to get better at them, especially in competition when you tend to get a little bit more nervous and try to hold back a little bit. But she's going to learn from this experience and move on and remember it for the next competition.
And we'll see how she recovers.
Right now, solid in her recovery. Nice, solid front aerial. And from this angle, you can really see how skinny that balance beam is. Very
About
difficult.
4 inches? 4 inches. Right?
4 inches wide, yes. Of course, each gymnast only has a minute and a half to perform all of the skills that need to be performed throughout the routine. You can see she looks a little bit rushed in each of her skills. And here her dismount, handspring, double pike dismount. A little low, but she pulls it around to get to her feet.
Very aggressive routine by Randy Stageberg. Didn't quite pull it off. The judges scored it as an 8.95. Our first look at Julie Cotter, another of the hometown Parkettes, as she gets started on uneven parallel bars.
This is nice so far. She starts with a pirouette right into a reverse hecht. And we're looking for the execution right here. You can see split legs, a little bit knees here and there. But she's throwing some big skills. Coming up on the dismount, nice high double tuck dismount, stuck the landing. A good routine, a little bit easier dismount than some of the athletes are performing.
Julie finished third all around in her age group last year here at the Parkette Invitational. Her score on the bar is 9.4. She moves up in age to the 15 through 16, a very strong division. And speaking of which, our first look at Brittany Ramsey, a veteran competitor now, competing in the 15 through 16 age group.
First in the all-around at last year's Parkette Invitational, opening up with a huge tuck full in. She is such a powerful athlete. She is not taking too much time in between her first and second pass, coming back with a nice high double layout. It's just amazing to me at this young of an age, these girls are throwing such difficult skills.
She's won a number of events, even though they're sort of, preliminary on the road to elite. But is that a good indication? You get used to winning, coming through in the clutch, so to speak.
It's always nice to win, and you do, I think, to some degree, get used to winning, get used to coming through when it counts. And that's a good thing to get used to, but it's also a good thing to have those mistakes early on, so you get used to getting over those mistakes and being able to move past them.
Brittany also finished first in the 2005 Hills Classic all around, as Shannon mentioned, and here at the Parkettes in her age division, the 14-year-olds a year ago.
And Brittany's doing terrific on tumbling. A few minor errors here and there on her leaps and jumps that she has to perform in between the tumbling moves. Right here, closing with a nice high double full. Overall, a very nice routine.
Very artistic finish for Brittany Ramsey.
Right here, we're going to see one of her tumbling passes, a round off whip back, handspring, nice high 2.5 twist, and it's amazing to me, she has plenty of room left towards the corner.
And the scoring, they liked it. 9.25 for Brittany Ramsey, 9.525, pardon me. Still to come, more from rotation 2. The Parkette's Invitational. We'll be back with more from Allentown. Stay with us. PA and the Parkette's Invitational, about 35 miles north of the city of Philadelphia in the Lehigh Valley, the home to one of the great gymnastic clubs in all of America. We continue in the second rotation, round 2, if you will, of our gymnastics competition, and Noel Couch.
Nice jump over mount. Starting off with a front giant, right to a straddle Jaeger, directly to an overshoot.
Noel finished 6th all around here a year ago.
Nice handstands. Judges looking for those handstands all the way vertical. Double front dismount, a blind landing, very difficult. Takes 1 step backwards for a 10th deduction. And again, just, little knee flickers here and there throughout the routine. Right there, you can see the right knee
flicker, a little bend in the leg?
Just a little bit.
Noel Couch completing the 14-year-old group, 9.175 on the bars. This is the second rotation, our second look at it. Morgan Evans out of Norfolk, Virginia. Very strong competitor. And I mean that literally. Very athletic.
She was second on this event at the Mexican International Invitational. Very good beam worker. Switch leap, tourgite half, extremely difficult leap to throw in there. A lot of risk because you're doing a lot of twisting on that move, and of course there's going to be the 5/10 deduction. Nice front aerial to what's called a sheep jump, where you have to lose sight of the balance beam. Back handspring layout, step out, you can see how perfectly dead on she was.
I like that line looking down the beam. You see how narrow a trail they must follow.
Yeah, and you don't get to see that a lot. And normally the judges are seeing from the side, the camera angles from the side. But this is a great view.
Again, yeah.
Front semi very solid. She's come back very composed from that fall. Switch ring. A lot of difficulty in these moves. Closing with a nice high double tuck, sticking that landing. Great way to finish up.
Look back at Morgan Evans.
Right here you can see how difficult it is. She just wasn't able to keep her body above the beam.
And taking that into account, she scores just 8.95 on the balance beam. First look now at Mingyao Zhao out of the Boston area and the Brestians Gymnastics Club. A rising star in her age category.
She recently qualified to the Elite International level. Big vault from such a tiny little girl. Gets a lot of lift off the horse. Right here, round off, blocking off the vault. Nice straight up and over. Full twist. This vault isn't as difficult as some of the previous vaults that we've seen. So when you have less difficulty, you need to focus on making sure that you're not having any errors on the landings, as we see there, and that's going to be a touchdown.
Coach Brestian in the background there talking with his young star, and the 14-year-olds will probably take the first vault for her score.
But you can catch the photographs that have been taken during the Parkette.
9.3, the judges saw it. Here's Amy Borsellino for the North Stars Gymnastics Academy in the age 14 category.
Huge reverse heck to start. These girls are just getting a lot of height in these moves, which is great to see.
Finished 4th all around here at the Parkettes a year ago.
Amy's combining some pirouetting along with her release moves. Setting up for the dismount, half turn double front. Hips landed a little bit behind her, which caused that step backwards. Right here, half turn. Needed her chest just a little bit more forward to stick the landing.
Amy Borsellino, 9.275, say the judges, on the uneven parallel bars. Now to the floor exercise. This is Toy Garcia from the Docksiders Gymnastics Club out of North Carolina. 2006 North Carolina State Sweetheart Invitational, where she finished first all around.
Opening up with a difficult combination of front double twist, punch front. A lot of timing involved with that skill. Coming back with a nice high double pike. Almost has a little too much power there.
How long is the floor exercise? What's the time limit here, Shannon?
They have 1.5 minutes. Yes, and there is a deduction for going over that time limit. She looks like she's having a great time playing to the audience. A lot of times for newer athletes, it takes some time to get used to being able to play to the audience and still keep your focus on what you're doing, so that's great to see.
This would be similar to some of the free skating that we saw at the Winter Olympics, Park Performance, as well as the athletic events entailed.
Yes, definitely. Right here, getting down to the tumbling. 2.5 twists, really solid on these landings, making sure that the twists are fully completed. That's what the judges are looking for.
Are they looking for these dance moves?
There are a lot of dance moves that they're looking for, leaps and jumps and turns, but they're also looking for presentation and artistry, and she's got all of it.
Toy Garcia, one of our younger competitors in the age 14 category. Here's a look back at some of her highlights.
Opening, or actually second tumbling pass, 2.5 twists, very nice.
We're through 2 rounds, 2 rotations, a 9.5 for Toy Garcia. When we come back from Allentown, Shannon Miller takes us up on the beam in her gymnastics essentials.
Welcome back to another edition of Essential Gymnastics. Today's lesson is all about how to stay on the balance beam. A gymnast needs to use the entire length of the balance beam, doing a variety of leaps, jumps, and acrobatic skills with control and confidence. Today I have with me from Ursinus College in Collegeville, Pennsylvania, Emily, Bree, and Jess to demonstrate some of the requirements to watch for on the balance beam. First, we're going to have Emily demonstrate a switch leap. Watch for that 180-degree split. Next, we're going to have her do one of the most common requirements, and that's a full turn. Next, we're going to watch Jess show us a frontward acro skill. This is a front somersault. Next, we're going to watch Bree perform a back acro skill, a back somersault. The balance beam is only 4 inches wide, 16 feet long, and 4 feet off the floor. It's the most feared event in all of gymnastics, but it's also the most exciting and one of the most beautiful events to watch. Now, I've been doing balance beam for about 23 years now, and I've come up with a few things that have always helped me to stay on. The first thing, always try to keep your eyes on the beam as much as possible. You don't want to be looking around the arena watching other people or waving to mom. You want to stay focused on exactly what you're doing every step of the way. The second thing you want to stay focused on is keeping your center of gravity and all of your body parts over the top of the balance beam as much as possible. I always like to think of doing beam in a skinny hallway so that I couldn't have an arm out here or a leg out there that would force me off to one side or the other. I would always stay as much over the beam as possible. Now, the third thing is very important. You want to keep every muscle in your body engaged, from your little toe to your fingertips. You want to make sure that you're tight at all times. That's going to save you just in case you do get crooked and off to one side or the other. The final thing is probably the most important thing to learn, and that's give 100% every single time you're up on the beam. Now, a lot of times when we fall, it's because we're in a competition or we're learning a new skill and we hold back just a little bit because we're a little bit nervous or scared. But if you give 100% and you're confident in every skill that you do every time, you'll stay on the beam a lot more often. Well, that's our lesson for staying on the beam. Now let's get back to the main event.
Just to stay sharp, Shannon carries that beam with her wherever she goes. In fact, she's standing on it right now as we bring you the action here. I'm Lou Tilley along with Shannon from Allentown, PA, as we begin rotation 3 of the Parkette's Invitational. But let's take a look at the scoring so far as we're halfway through the competition. The younger age group for the women, Noel Couch, Amy Bersolino, and Shelby Geis, but we're only halfway through, Shannon, as we look at the women in the age 15 through 16. Some of them have not played to their favorite events yet, with Julie Cotter, Darlene Hill, and Lauren Rogers, and still some of them still with their stronger events to come.
Absolutely, and you never want to count anyone out. It's 4 events, they all count, so you hold on to the end and do the best you can.
So we begin the third rotation with our first look at Darlene Hill from the Wilmore School of Gymnastics. And she is currently in second place. This now on the uneven parallel bars.
Nice opening move. That's called a Shpashnikova. Comes right back with an overshoot. But watch those flexed feet. She's got to work on that just a bit. Right here, nice high double front. Pretty short routine actually, but she gets some good difficulty in there.
She's out of New Jersey, finished 4th all around a year ago here at the Parkettes.
Good dismount, small step forward, but overall a solid routine.
Shelby Geis, 9.5, by the way, for Darlene Hill. That is a good score, despite, as you said, kind of an abbreviated routine. Shelby Geis, also from the Wilmore School of Gymnastics in New Jersey. Her turn on the bars.
Shelby was first on this event at last year's Parkette Invitational, looking to defend that title.
She's in 3rd place after 2 rotations here this year in the 14-year-old age group.
So far, a gorgeous routine. Look at her toe point. A little short on that free hip circle. She needed to reach the handstand. Hits a handstand right before a dismount, though. Very nice. High, tuck double back. Good, solid routine.
Shelby Geis.
She's a little minor mistake on the low bar, but finishes up very strong, and that's what the judges are going to remember.
In 2nd place after 2 rotations on her 3rd event. She scores a 9.4, and that shouldn't hurt her in the overall standings. More to come from rotation 3. Noel Couch now taking her turn on the balance beam.
Nice easy mount. Just get on the beam. Make sure you do your difficulty up on the balance beam.
I was only half kidding about what I said. You looked so comfortable during that long piece talking to the camera on the beam.
Well, it's been about 2 decades that I've spent on the beam, but I still have my nice moments where I fall too. Judges looking for nice fluid movements throughout the beam routine. You really want to create that feeling that you're doing a floor routine. You know, you're just doing it in a straight line. You want to look comfortable up there. Body check right there. And the judges are looking for that full 180-degree split. She didn't quite make it, so that'll be a minor deduction. And what these girls have to learn at this point in their career is the rules get harder as you move up in levels. So as you move up, and of course with the new code, we are looking for those angles. We're looking for that full split, because if you don't reach those, you can actually lose credit for the entire skill. So a fall will no longer be 5/10. It's going to be 8/10. It's going to be a point in deductions. And the new code is really looking for perfection,
which is going to make a perfect score almost impossible to achieve.
Certainly. Good dismount. Little form breaks here and there. She looked a little nervous, but that's going to certainly improve. The more she competes, the more she does these skills. Nice double full. And gets beam over with. She stays on and gets it over with.
Judges subtracted, let's see, a full point. So her score on the beam is 9.0 even. 9.0 in the age group of 14 years old. Still to come. More action from rotation 3 from the Parkette's Invitational in Allentown, PA. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mission Kid.
Joel wrote about Allentown, performed the song about steel and industry. They still make things in this great American city, including great young gymnasts like Julie Cotter from the hometown club, Parkette.
Julie Cotter, she is in great position right now. Needs to hit a very solid balance beam routine. Backhand swing layout, step out. She's able to save it, so it's just a minor error and not just a minor balance check. One thing I like about her style is that she really goes after each skill. She's not hesitant. She just goes after it 100%.
Now, she has that look that you were talking about of being very self-assured, I think, on the beam compared with some of the others that we've seen.
She does. She has that confident air about her, and that's what I mean, I guess, in going after each skill. She's purposeful in everything that she does. She doesn't wait for the skill to come to her.
Wow.
And you can see she's gotten good at saving each skill. She knows exactly how to do that, maintain her body position, and not get too rattled. Dismount, round off, double twist. Nice routine. Very well done.
Julie Cotter scores 9.25 on the beam, competing in the 15 through 16 age group. Keitra Hunter now from Hills Gymnastics Club in the 14-year-old group on the vault.
Starting out with a strong run. Nice high Yurchenko full. She gets a good block off the horse. As she gets a little bit older, she'll get a little bit more height, more distance, maybe add a twist here or there, but this is a very strong vault for this competition.
And you get 2 runs at this. She's currently in 4th place in the 14-year-old after 2 events.
She's got a solid one under her belt, looking to improve on the landing, and she goes for an extra half twist. She bends her knees slightly before the landing, but again, we're looking at these girls trying to up the difficulty in their routines.
Her score of 9.275 should keep her right in the competition. And speaking of which, Randy Stageberg, who's been in the thick of it, although a disappointing 8th place now after 2 rotations. Now a chance in the long program, as it were, on the floor exercise for the gymnasts.
Looking to come back strong on this event. Randy opening up with a nice high Arabian double front. Beautiful landing. And she does have that extra matting in there. That's okay. The judges don't mind. It's called a sting mat.
She has a first in floor exercise in 2004 at the U.S. Challenge in Rochester.
The U.S. Challenge, of course, a very tough competition. Some of the best athletes in the nation competing at that event. So she is obviously a strong floor worker. She's very clean in all of her dance. There's not a lot of extra things going on, which is really nice to see. It means there's not a lot to deduct from. Third tumbling pass, pike full in. Tremendous difficulty throughout this routine. Beautiful split during her jumps.
And you have those options. I guess there are certain maneuvers and movements that you must perform, but then you have the option of making it even more difficult.
Certainly, and in some of the lower scores that we're seeing, even when the athletes hit, that's because of the difficulty level. This floor exercise routine has a lot of difficulty in it, though, closing up with a double pike. And way to come back. Never looks tired throughout this whole routine. Right here, closing with a huge double pike. Beautiful form in the air.
In 8th place after the first 2 rotations, hoping to move up, and a 9.6 on floor ought to do just that for Randy Stageberg from Excalibur and down in Virginia. Next up, Brittany Ranzi from the Hills Gymnastics Club in New Jersey in 7th place overall.
Strong vaulter. Nice high double twist, nailing the landing. Beautiful vault. There is not a whole lot to improve on in this vault. Gets a nice block, beautiful form, legs tight together in the air, and sticks that landing.
She'll get a second try to see if she can do any better. In 7th place overall after 2 rotations.
Only thing she can really improve on is a little more power.
Up.
She'll take the first vault, and what a beautiful vault it was.
We're done 3, the 4th quarter, if you will. The 4th rotation still to come. And when we come back, we'll go down the road to Philadelphia for the highlights of one of the elite events of the year, the American Cup, when we come right back. We're in Allentown for the Parkette's Gymnastics Invitational, some of the young up-and-coming stars of tomorrow. But today's stars gathered down the road in Philadelphia for one of the great international elite competitions every year, the American Cup. Shannon Miller is a veteran of the competition and takes us there for this year's highlights.
Double laid-out somersault.
For all of the spectators here at Temple's Liacouras Center who wanted to see the U.S. take home the gold at the Tyson American Cup, their wishes were granted as Nastia Lukin and Jonathan Horton took top honors today at this championship in an exciting competition that was a battle to the very last event.
I did what I did, and I couldn't take anything back after that, so I knew I just had to go into the floor and try the best I could, and it was just all up to the judges. My main goal was just to go in there and just make all my tumbling passes the best way I could.
The U.S. women took over the competition on the second event and held tight to the end, with Nastia Lukin finishing in first place and newcomer Shayla Worley in second.
I went out there and did everything like I've been training and just had so much fun. It was a great experience and a great start 2006.
Jonathan Horton started with a strong performance on pommel horse and gained momentum on every event leading up to his win after a spectacular performance on high bar. Japan's Hisashi Mizutori came in a close second, showing that the strength of the Japanese men continues. And David Durante placed third after an unfortunate fall early in the competition.
We have been behind a little bit in the past year, and I think the U.S. is just as strong as any other team out there, and I think there was a little bit of redemption today.
The U.S. women continue to dominate world competition, taking the top 2 spots at this year's Tyson American Cup, and the men take the first and third slots as they redeem themselves in the eyes of the world since last year's disappointing World Championships. Now let's head back to the Parkette Invitational.
And back up the Pennsylvania Turnpike about 35 miles to Allentown and the Parkette Invitational, where those stars of tomorrow are on display here. As we get ready for the 4th quarter, if you will, the rotation 4 after 3, Shannon, Noel Couch, Shelby Geis, Keitra Hunter.
Noel Couch was 6th in the all-around last year. She'd like to hold on to that lead this year.
And in the age 15 through 16 category, you got, what, 4/10 of a point separating 3 and 2. Is that too much to overcome in the 4th rotation?
It's really not. As we all know, anything can happen in the final event.
So the final event for Noel Couch, and it's the floor exercise. 27.8 her overall score. She's tied for first. Going to this, her last performance.
And Noel really needs a solid performance to maintain that lead throughout. Nice high 2.5 twist. A little bit of a bumpy landing. Coming back. Front handspring, front layout, front tuck. And I'm not sure actually if she may have pulled out difficulty. That's not a very difficult pass, and the judges are going to certainly take note of that.
Floor exercise, minute 30, as you've mentioned before. Is this the most physically demanding event?
It always was for me. You kind of get those jello legs at the end of the routine, and you just hope you can get to that 3rd or 4th tumbling pass.
Good experience for a young performer like Couch entering this final event of the meet, tied for first place.
Very good experience, and as you said, she is tied for first place. This routine does not have the difficulty level that many of the other athletes have, so we're not going to see a huge score here, which is going to be difficult to maintain that lead.
A little slower pace, too, compared with some of the performances.
A little slower. The music is a little bit faster than her dance, so these are just things that she'll have to work on throughout the year. She closes with a nice high double pike, which is a difficult move.
Ooh, that was neat. 14-year-old Noel Couch.
And Noel can certainly be proud of her performance today. She did a great job in first place coming into the final event. Just needs to get a little more difficulty in these second 2 tumbling passes of her floor routine.
Averaging 9.3 in each of her 3 exercises. So far, she scores, as Shannon correctly handicapped, 8.95 here in the floor exercise. And now Morgan Evans on the vault, 37.05, tied for 5th place, going to her 4th.
Looking for a big vault here. Yurchenko 1.5 twist, very nice landing. And again, that's that blind landing where you can't see the floor coming up. Very difficult to stick. She does a nice job.
Tied for 5th place. She'll have another run at the vault here.
And certainly she's got one down that she's got a great score on. Here, trying to improve, and she'll probably take the first score.
And more often than not, it seems like the first vault has been the better of the 2 so far in the meet. 9.475 for Morgan Evans. That won't hurt her overall. Now Randy Stageberg, who is in 4th place overall, here on the vault.
Looking to break into that top 3 with this vault right here. Yurchenko full twist, a little bouncy on the landing. She's got an extra mat on top, and sometimes that matting can be a little springy when you land if you don't bend your knees.
Like a trampoline.
Yeah, she kind of stiff-legged the landing, but a nice vault.
Now she moved up 4 places after a strong performance on the floor exercise. Here's her last run of the meet. This to try and get into the medal category.
Yurchenko full twist. Oh, a little off to the side, but she actually did a more difficult vault and a great score.
Oh, great score of 9.575. So Randy Stageberg trying to get up into the top 3 spots with that. Now Brittany Ramsey trying to hold on to or move up in the standings. She's in 3rd place overall. She begins her last rotation.
Gorgeous opening with the Shpashnikova. That's a big release move from low bar to high bar. Here she comes with her 2nd. Kelly Hill, her coach, stepping in. Nice tight form throughout the routine. Setting up for a huge double pipe dismount. Solid landing, very nice routine. This is the way you want to finish off a competition.
Brittany Ramsey in 3rd place overall. This is her last mark of the day, and it's a good one. 9.45 for Brittany Ramsey. Now to Julie Cotter. She's in 2nd place overall, beginning her last rotation, her last exercise, the floor exercise.
Oh, we saw a little bit of her performance come through on balance beam, but she is a very good performer on floor exercise. You can see it in her dance, how she's making eye contact with the crowd. Coming back, Arabian double front.
Much like I mentioned on her beam, very steady and solid in almost all of her movements.
Absolutely, and you can see she's thinking about what she's doing, but she's also allowing herself to kind of feel the music in between each of these tough tumbling passes. Right here, 2.5 twist, holds onto that landing. And again, she's one of the cleaner athletes. There's not a lot of extra stepping around. She knows exactly where each hand and each foot is supposed to be, and she puts it there. Nice triple turn. Coming up on her last tumbling pass. Nice double pike dismount. Just overall a very nice routine. Everything's clean, the leaps, the jumps. Great job.
Looked like a very poised and polished performance for Julie Cotter in her last of the day.
Coming up here on her last tumbling pass, nice high double pike. If you're going to get real picky, I suppose she could point her toes, but it was a great routine.
Ooh, the judges certainly thought so. 9.65 is going to do her well in the overall standing. She went to her last exercise in 2nd place by a couple of tenths. And now Keitra Hunter in 3rd place overall in the 14-year-old category.
Trying to move up in the standings on this last event. course, she needs to hold on to every tenth that she can, which means no execution deductions. Like that leg split right there at the bottom of her ginger. And that's a pretty common deduction. When you catch the bar, you kind of forget about your feet, and that just comes with experience.
Only 3/10 of a point separate first and third place here going to the fourth rotation. Keitra in third with 27.5. How will this do her, Shannon?
You know, this was a pretty solid bar routine. She's got some errors in there with certainly her leg splits and knee bends, but it's a pretty solid routine overall.
14-year-old Keitra Hunter, the judges say 9.0. Will that hold up? We'll have to see. We move on, though, to Darlene Hill now. Tough event to finish on when you're in contention, the balance beam?
You know, some gymnasts really like to finish because they don't want to think about it till the end, and other gymnasts, myself included, like to start off with it or get it done at the beginning so you didn't have to worry about it anymore.
Darlene in first place now in the 15 to 16-year-old women's category, and this is her last routine on the balance beam.
So far, just a couple balance checks on each skill. Standing punch front, right into a back handspring. And it's these connections that are going to give extra bonus points. Nice switch leap, switch leap. And again, each move, she just is a little unsure of herself on the landings, a little bit nervous.
By my calculation, she needs about a 9.5 here on the beam to hold on to her lead.
Huge dismount, punch double front.
That won't hurt.
And she sticks the landing. Incredible dismount right there.
Well, what did the judges think overall? Great dismount, great finish for Darlene Hill, but 9.2. I'm not sure if that will hold on to first place overall. Shelby Geis now. Shelby also in the hunt in the 14-year-old category. She starts out tied for first place in this, her last performance, and this too on the balance beam.
Very nice turn. Of course, a full turn is required, but she does it a little bit different. Increases the difficulty. Nice layout step out.
She needs a 9.0 or better here to take top overall in the 14-year-old category.
And so far, she has every opportunity to get that score. Punch front, and she touches the beam. Of course, that's going to be a huge deduction. When you actually touch the beam, it's considered a fall.
Oh, it's the same as if she'd fallen off all the way?
It depends on how the judging goes. You know, she barely touched it, so it might not be considered a grab, which is a full 5/10. She may get away with the 3/10 deduction.
So her dismount here will be critical in her chances to win the overall.
Right here, punch front full off the end of the beam, a little bit low. You can see how far her chest is down on this takeoff. She doesn't get any height in the air.
It's almost like she dove down into it.
Right.
So this will be interesting to see how they scored it.
A lot of difficulty in that routine.
Hey, not bad. 9.15, and according to our numbers, that may be good enough, but we're not sure. We'll total them up by the computer and tell you how they finish in both the 14-year-old and 15 to 16-year-old category when we come back from Allentown, Pennsylvania. That's Invitational in the books from Allentown, PA, where Bill and Donna Strauss have been doing this going on 40 years with the great help of the Allentown business leaders, Alicia Sacramone, Courtney Kupets, Tia Orlando, some of the past stars here. Here are the winners that we've covered for you tonight. Shelby Geis holds on in the 14-year-old category to win by 2/10 over Noel Couch and Keitra Hunter. Thoughts, Shannon?
You know, Shelby was third at last year's competition and definitely wanted to move up in the standings, and she had a great performance today, held on in that last beam routine to clinch the gold.
And a trio of young ladies rising closer to the top of stardom in America now. A new crop of young stars. Julie Cotter finishes on top.
Absolutely. These are great competitors, great experience here moving into either college or elite level gymnastics, and we could definitely see these girls in the future.
Been our pleasure once again to be in Allentown with the Parkette's Invitational. For now, I'm Lou Tilley. Back to Shannon.
That concludes concludes our show for today, but don't forget, we'll be back next week with another edition of Gymnastics USA on CN8, the Comcast network. See you then.